Hello everyone, bringing you a video today looking at this. This is a British, very late 1950s, certainly 1960s issue, Cellular jungle green shirt. Not only issued in the jungle, but it does sort of carry on the jungle warfare, the jungle kit theme that's been prevalent on the channel recently. These do turn up elsewhere. There are quite a few photographs of chaps wearing them in other hot climates and indeed elsewhere, as a shirt. It's not uncommon to see them. They were very popular and they were worn right the way through into at least the 1980s. And as I say, quite a practical garment in some respects, but really a little bit lagging in terms of tropical clothing for the 1960s when these are most prevalently seen. The design itself really draws on previous British tropical clothing in being made of this cellular material, essentially Airtex, the commercial name for this, very similar to football shirt material, which is how I've described it in previous videos for those who may not be familiar with this. It's very breathable, but it's lightweight and not particularly durable as a result of that. And when you think that the US Army were introducing their tropical combat uniform at this time, this really looks rather sort of old hat in that regard. It definitely draws on older designs rather than bringing in anything new in terms of design features. The design itself does have some features which sort of are a concession to smartness as opposed to purely practical field use, including the scalloped pocket flaps here. So you have two breast pockets, as you can see here, and they are scalloped, as you can see. Just a concession to smartness there. These could be pressed and starched and worn in relatively smart situations. The shirt itself obviously is designed to be worn as a shirt, as some of the preceding designs, the bush jackets which had been issued, were often worn as shirts. They were often tucked in, but they were really intended as bush jackets. This is designed as a shirt. Introduced around 1959, around that date, and certainly worn right the way through the 1960s. These are very common to see during the Indonesia-Borneo confrontation. Looking at other features of the design here, obviously we have a large pointed collar there, stand and fall collar, pleated pockets here. It closes down the front all the way with a single row of buttons there, small shirt buttons. You do have epaulets here. We'll see those as we move this round. There's not a huge amount more detail to talk about at the front. It is a fairly plain design of shirt. There's not a huge amount more to the design, at least to look at the front here. We'll start moving this round now, and of course we'll look at the interior details as well, the construction and so forth. Looking at the right hand side of the shirt here, we can see there's an epaulette up on the shoulder there, which also affixes with one of these little shirt buttons. You can see that there. Button that back down again. You can see details of the large pointed collar there. We do actually have some insignia on this shirt, which is rather nice. We have the dragon on the red and black background, which is HQ Land Forces Hong Kong. There's a printed example of the badge there on the sleeve of this shirt. We have a simple button cuff here. There's no real gusset. There's just a small triangular section of cloth there to strengthen the seam where it comes down and opens up there. And then you have a large opening there, which of course makes these very easy to roll up. And that's a nice feature of the design from that point of view. It does make the sleeves very easy to neatly roll up when they are worn in that way. Looking at the back of the mannequin here, you can see we've got two little darts worked into the seam there, the shoulder seam that runs across there. Otherwise, the fairly plain at the back here. Obviously, it's one big panel, the seams being underneath the arms here, as you can see. Turning this inside out now, you can see details of the construction. You can see the pockets stitched on the chest here. Internal details of the front closure there. Not a huge amount more to see at the front there. We'll start turning this round now and have a look at some of the other details. Looking at the internal detail of the sleeve here, you can see the shoulder seam running down there with the seam where the arm joins onto the body of the shirt there. Seam running down underneath the arm there where this joins at the side. And you can see there's the triangular strengthening piece there at the bottom of the seam where you open up into the skirts. Looking at the cuff again, we can see a better detail here of the triangular piece of cloth stitched in there to reinforce where the seam opens up at the cuff there. And obviously this large opening, allowing you to easily roll these up. And looking at the back here, you can see the seam running over the shoulders here and the two darts worked in there at the top. Not a huge amount more to talk about here. It's a very simple design really. And that's a look at the interior details. So there we are. I hope you found it interesting looking at this. A fairly simple shirt design, but a very ubiquitous bit of kit, and these were used and very popular for use in the Far East during the Indonesia-Borneo confrontation, and then, as already said, they do turn up through the 70s and 80s and as well still being manufactured in the 1970s. So a very simple design, but quite a ubiquitous and quite a popular one. If you have found it interesting looking at this and you'd like to see more from the channel, please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the notification button down below. That will of course alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you would like to support the channel, you can. Both Patreon and PayPal are linked down below. And as ever, a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. It's greatly appreciated, as I always say. Thank you all very much indeed. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down below. And if you'd like to get in touch but you don't really use social media, there is of course an email address down below as well. That's everything for this video, so until next time, bye for now.